Morena whānau. So today is my day 4 and 5 of my mental health awareness challenge. So I have 25 days to share my own personal experiences with mental health and how it's affected me, and hopefully I can share some tools that I've found during my journey that might be able to help other people. I just want to give a big mihi to my bestie who nominated me for this part of the challenge. Darian Clark, who's ripping it up on her videos, and it's awesome to see. So I hope that I can do her nomination justice, and also myself as well as I go through this. So today, firstly, I want to talk about people who don't understand what you're going through. So I'm an open book. If people ask me something, then I will tell them. And sometimes that's to my detriment, but I don't know any other way. I don't know any other way how to do it, but to be, if people want to know, if people ask me, then I will tell them what I know. And I've just always been like that. So that, especially growing up and being surrounded by the people that I was surrounded by, that wasn't like the norm. I always felt like I was an alien surrounded by the people that I grew up with, because I just didn't fit in. It wasn't easy for me to just brush things off. If something happened either to myself or to someone else that I know, even now, then I feel it. I feel it really deep in my heart, and it hurts me, and I get really upset. For me, I always felt like I was an outsider, that I didn't fit, and that what I felt was wrong, and that I was a bad person. And I still get made to feel like that these days, surprisingly enough. But I guess when you're programmed to think and feel like that throughout your whole life, it's just a natural part of you, and sometimes you either have to deny it and cause yourself even more sadness, or you have to embrace it and just put up with the consequences. And most of the time the consequences are that people can't handle it and they push you aside for no reason, no explanation. They just leave, and you're left to wonder, what did I do? What did I do this time? The worst thing for me is that if I do something to somebody and no one tells me, and yet they treat me like shit, then it just blows my mind. I don't understand that, and my mind can't comprehend it, and it can't process it, and so that can pull me into a state of depression. The fortunate thing for me these days is that I don't stay in that state for very long anymore, because I have tools that will help me pull me out of that. Like I've mentioned in earlier videos, I exercise, which is a big thing for me. I surround myself with awesome people. If I'm feeling a little bit down, I'll just message somebody and just ask how they are, because that really helps me when I'm in those states. So that's something really hard for people who live with mental issues, to have to not only try and understand and explain this disease that we have for ourselves, but to try and explain it and live a life where other people understand it as well. It's not fair for us, for a kick-off. It's pretty hard to be one person, to try and be your authentic self, when everyone else expects you to be this other person. That's not sad, and that who doesn't talk about their feelings, and sometimes all we need is just a hug, but it always has to be from the right person. We can feel fake. I can feel fake sorry, I don't mean to speak on behalf of others, but I can feel fake. I can see it, I can smell it, and I don't like it. I don't like it, and it's an unfortunate, I don't know, characteristic or trait of mine, but it's also a defense mechanism for me to not allow myself to be put in those situations where I have to be fake just because someone else can't handle that I have mental issues, that I suffer from depression and anxiety. So I guess that's one of the tools that I use to protect myself, is that I try to be really intuitive with how people treat me, how people talk to me, and I sort of just follow my gut with what that looks like and feels like for me. So that's my first topic for today. Just being around people who don't understand. If you don't understand, just ask. Sometimes we'll tell you, sometimes we're all at different stages of this journey, and so some of us won't want to talk about it. Me, I'll always want to talk about it because it helps me, it helps other people. Well, it doesn't always help them because they still don't understand it, and instead of trying to understand it, it just becomes easier for them to brush it off, and sometimes even talk about how stupid that person is because they say they suffer from depression or anxiety, but that's not our fault. That's your fault. If you don't understand, if you don't try to understand, then don't judge us. That's what it comes down to. Don't judge us. The next topic I want to talk about, which is probably stems from that, is I've always had issues with losing people that I love, role models, people that have really instilled some awesome values into my life. And I've been thinking over the last couple of days how far that actually stems back. And I thought maybe it stemmed back to two particular instances in my life where it was a really terrible time for me, but in actual fact it stemmed right back to my childhood, right back till when I could walk. When I started walking, I can remember instances of not having the people that I needed at the time in my life because they were busy doing other things like partying and hooking up and stuff like that. And it's what it's done for me. Those issues, how they've affected me, is that I've always tried for most of my life to be the person who pleases people, who I don't like to start. I didn't like to start, issues or arguments, or confrontation wasn't a big thing of mine, and it's still not a big thing of mine now, but it's turned me in for most of my life into a doormat, and I've come to an age and a time in my life now where I realise I don't want that anymore. I am a good person and I don't deserve that, and a lot of the times that treatment was given to me from people that I loved, from people that I thought loved me, and so it's a hard thing to deal with when the people that you think you trust the most treat you like that. So what I've done to combat that is a few months ago I met a girl who just happened to walk into my life. It wasn't planned or anything like that, but when I look back on it now, it was absolutely meant to be. So what this girl has helped me do is she's helped me to realise my self-worth and realise my self-awareness and tune into my intuition so that I can see and feel things before they happen to me, and I can deal with them before they get to me, before they get to my heart, which is where I pretty much, where all of my emotion and my being comes from. So and that's been a really, really awesome thing. So I've always been a spiritual person. I was born into the Mormon church, but I haven't so much been religious, but I've always been a spiritual person. I've always felt people with me. I've always seen things. It's just that the things that I was going through in my life, and always feeling less than a human, I suppose, I always ignored that stuff, because if I was to tell people that I experienced those things, as well as the fact that I suffered depression and anxiety, it would have been too much for me to take, from just not being accepted and stuff like that. So yeah, so that's been a huge thing, and every day I work on that. Every day I work on strengthening my soul, my heart, so that when people try and attack me, it's almost, it'll get to the point where it's water off a duck's back, and it's not completely there yet, but it's helped me so much over this almost year, with some really, really tough events that have happened in my life, mainly in my family life, and so I'm really, really thankful for that. So my tip or tool that I use there is that I've found spirituality that's helped me get through that. And again, like I mentioned before, I'm an open book. If you want to talk to me about that, I'll tell you. But if you don't, I don't throw it in anyone's faces. People get to that point in their life when they're ready. You can't get there by someone pushing you, which is what I've sort of found over my time. So, just to recap, I guess, the abandonment issues, we need to find a way to get through that through healing ourselves, and because no one else can do it, no one else can do that for us except ourselves, and it's a truly powerful and empowering experience once we get there. And that may look different for many people. It may not be through spirituality, it may be through success, it may be through having family, it could come in many forms, but finding yourself, believing in yourself, changing that inner dialogue is super, super important for people going through this particular journey. I just wanted to share that with you. For many people, it's not easy to just talk about this kind of stuff, so other options are you could just do a video like this and not share it with anyone, or you could write it down like myself and Darian do. You can talk to a stranger about it, someone who you have no emotional connection to, and so who won't judge you. There's many things that we can do to release this energy that's in us, so that it doesn't stay inside us and infect us and make us sick, basically. But those are that's my kōrero for this challenge for today. I hope everyone has a really safe day, and as always, if you need to have a kōrero, then feel free to contact me. I'm pretty active most of the time on Facebook and social media and stuff like that, so or you can just ring me or text me if you have my number as well. But yeah, just remember, it's okay to not be okay. We're still human at the end of the day. We are not abnormal, we are normal. We're everyday people, and that's a really, really awesome thing. Okay, that's me.